If you grew up anything like me, it's about damn time that you start celebrating yourself. Now, I grew up in a household where I was taught to believe that it is conceited, it is self righteous, it is damn near sinful to celebrate oneself. Now, I'm not talking about a big old parade for yourself. I'm not talking about going out there and letting the entire world know just how incredible and amazing and spectacular you are for no good reason. I'm talking about even the little simple act of patting your own back when you do something that feels like an accomplishment to yourself. I grew up in a household, in a religion, in a tradition that told you to silence yourself and to wait for the rest of the world to co-sign your victory, to wait for everybody else to notice you in order for you to be valid, to be worthy, to be adequate enough. And so what does that do? Well, it starts to form what we call a people-pleasing context, or a people-pleasing mindset, at least. Let's not get into the context yet, but it forms what we call low self-esteem. It forms what we call a lack of self-worthiness. And so we spend our lives, our life force, our vital energy and resources going out into the world and looking for people to pat us on the back. And it starts at a very young age, right? For most of us in the household. Then we get into the education system, we get into the schooling system. And now we got ranking systems by grades. Before the grades, however, we got the gold stars. You get a gold star on your forehead. Well done. You are worthy. You are adequate. You are a somebody in that very moment in time. And do you know how you get your accolades? Do you know how you get that gold star on your forehead? Well, it's simple. All you got to do is do exactly what that adult wants you to do. You got to behave in accordance and alignment with their own value system, which is based off of their own parents' value system, which is based off of usually their own parents' value system. Now, am I saying that all those values are wrong? Absolutely not. But most of them are toxic. A majority of them are very destructive. And the longer they're perpetuated, the more ingrained they become. Example, if I believe that a good child is the one who sits there quiet and says nothing, who questions nothing, who says nothing, and who follows all orders, if that is my definition, my value of what goodness is, then I'm only going to reward the kids who have that sort of behavioral pattern. And the kids who don't, I'm going to deem them as a bad kid. So how do you think the kid who likes to express himself or likes to question, right? The one who has a mind of their own, the one who cannot help but interrogate the things that you are telling them. They can't help but look deeper into the seemingly surface level things that you are feeding them. That child starts to feel like they're wrong or they're bad. And so what happens to us is we start to live this inauthentic life. We start to hide from our true selves and we start to camouflage ourselves in order for us to be seen as good, to be to find a sense of belonging within that group of the acceptables. And that's where I found myself. I became an acceptable. Now, I'll tell you something about myself. If I was left to my own devices and I had no programming, and I was still in this world, in this society that values all these core, quote unquote, values of inauthenticity, asking nothing, never challenging the status quo. If I was really truly myself, never programmed, never conditioned in anything else, I would be the least desirable in any classroom setting. Like I was the one who was called a distraction and a disruption for what I now do, ironically enough, literally for a living. Like my means of livelihood is through communication, right? Through speaking, through coaching, through teaching. And yet that very same gifting that I was given was seen as a distraction when I was a child. And this was actually a conversation I got into with one of my inner circle. Name is Carrie Nicole. Make sure to tap into her social media as soon as you get a chance. We were talking about this, and in her household, it was like this thing of if you question the status quo, you're going to be ostracized in the family, or you're at least going to be shut down or shut out in some shape or form. And in my own household, it was the same thing when it came to our religious foundation, right? And then everything else, it was really about, it's a quiet home. We are people who stay to ourselves. We stay in our little corner. We mind our business. And so for me to be somebody who was a little more abrupt, upfront, out there, it was difficult for me to truly express myself authentically. And so What I started to do was I would look for a sense of validation. I would pretend, I would fake, I would become somebody else so other people could celebrate me, other people could see me, other people could value me in some shape or form. And whatever shape that took, whatever form that looked like, I was willing to accept it simply because I had let go of this notion of validating myself. And that's all celebration truly is. To celebrate yourself, to celebrate your life is not to say I'm, God's gift to earth, even though you are. Every single one of us are. But it's to say, you know what? I'm doing an incredible job. I'm an amazing person. I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of appreciation, right? And it's not because you earned that appreciation, by the way. That's the difference. Like, we're talking about true unconditional deservedness, unconditional celebration of self, which, if you were to say this in the self-help world or the personal development world, you got to earn it, right? You got to grind and work so hard to be valuable and to be worthy. And that's something I disagree with. Like, I agree with, I'd say, well, a few things within the world of personal development, within the world of self-help. But one thing I do not agree with is this earned valuation of self. Now, what other people want to value, that's up to them. That's their own business, right? That's their prerogative, as Bobby Brown would have said back in the day. But what I'm talking about is the innate aspect, right? To celebrate yourself simply because you are. To celebrate your life, to be in states of joy, as opposed to depriving yourself of joy, depriving yourself of happiness, of even love from within. It's time for us to learn to start to value ourselves, to celebrate, because we only celebrate those things that we value, right? That we hold at the highest esteem. So why are we waiting? Why are we waiting until we get a gold medal? Why are we waiting until somebody else tells us we're good enough, right? That gold star on your forehead. Why are we waiting until daddy pats you on the back and tells you did an amazing job? So many of us live for the approval and the affection, and most importantly, the acceptance of people who don't even accept themselves. Like, think about that. The very people that you want validation from do not have an ability to even validate themselves. And those are the people that you're going to. The ones who see no true value within and have to find it externally. And the ones I'm talking about may be people that are very close to you. I'm talking about parents, guardians, parental figures, whoever it was in your life, family members, right? Best friends, relational partners, spouses, etc. These are the people that we're going to looking for something when in truth they don't even have it within themselves. And so we become disappointed when they don't give us that thing, right? I had to have this realization within my own relationship is if my partner doesn't have the ability in that moment to love herself, how on earth is she going to love on me? If she can't appreciate herself in that moment, how is she going to appreciate me? And so am I going to wait the rest of my life for her to finally get to a place where she can appreciate herself completely and absolutely in order for her to then transfer that over to me? Or am I going to dig deep? Am I going to go within? Am I going to cultivate that appreciation from within myself? It's time for us to start truly celebrating ourselves, guys. I'm so serious. Like, it's 2023 right now. And I believe that we are in a conscious shift. Like, things are changing on this planet and probably the entirety of this known universe, right? This dimension of reality. We can all feel the shift. We know things are changing radically. Things are getting more polarized because we are in an awakening. That is now. We are in it at this very moment in time. That's why technology has risen the way it has. But that's why also discord and dissension. It's like we've created means of connection and communication that we've never experienced, yet there's also the deepest level of miscommunication at the very same time. The polarities are getting wider and wider. The gap is getting wider. The light and the dark are becoming more of their true self. Like, the light is becoming brighter, the darkness is becoming darker than it's ever been. And it is for us to make a decision to step into healing, to step into our wholeness journey, to remember who we truly are, to step into that inner power, that has been bestowed upon us, that every single one of us emanate from within. It is time for us to break away from those systems and those values of old and to instead value from within. Because when I value me for me, then I can value you for you. If I can show up in the world authentically, then I can appreciate and accept the most authentic version of yourself. I was raised as a bigot, as somebody who was, homophobic in many different ways and other type of phobias and other type of isms, right? Due to my religious quote unquote beliefs. But in truth, I was living from a place of fear. I was living from a place of really unworthiness and undeservedness. And I was projecting that onto other people, not understanding that it's because I was hiding from myself. I couldn't see others living in their true and authentic selves. And so the moment I made a decision to live authentically and to truly embrace that and to go and embark upon that path, everything else started to open up. Everything else. I no longer needed that sense of celebration from everybody around me, but instead I got it from within myself, right? So for those who are in this journey and in this process, shameless plug, I have published my very first book, Doing Me Guilt-Free. So make sure to get your copy, link below. But for those who are not ready to embark on the book or to embark in the course that is going to be QR'd, I guess that's a word, that's QR'd in the back of the book, take this message and just apply it to one aspect of your life. Take one day out and celebrate yourself for things that you would not have otherwise and see what happens. Trust me. You don't believe me? You think I'm just saying things, buzzwords. Somebody called me out one day. They said, well, okay, beyond these buzzwords, what do I actually do? And so that's why I come on here and I say, look, apply it and you'll see what I'm talking about. This ain't just buzzwords like, self-love, etc. Yeah, they get overused and sometimes they're misused. But when you truly start to live by these, truly start to embrace them and integrate them as a part of your day-to-day living, your life will change. Now, things are going to fall apart sometimes before they have to rebuild, but that falling apart is a beautiful falling apart. Embrace it wholeheartedly, love it, appreciate it, and step into it. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Peace.